Give me your picks. Give me your insights. I want the bets from Betting Weekly because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win. Sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird. Don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful.
All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Wednesday. Mike Carver and Doug Kezirian here with you as we get ready for all of tonight's action. We've got tons of games in the NBA, couple hockey games. We've got Maction, got it all, college hoops. It is all happening here on a Wednesday, the first Wednesday in November, part of the Betting Weekly Studios, Bet Rivers Network. Great to have us all here together. Doug, good to see you as always, and always good, Doug. We get back on the daily double train last night with the over in the hockey game and, of course, Akron taking care of business.
Like I said, I was in some doldrums, lost a couple in a row, but it's good to have UMass on the slate. Anytime you can get UMass to bet against, that always wakes me up. But crazy, no, I mentioned it, Akron, double-digit favorite against an FBS opponent for the first time in nearly a decade. But UMass is that bad, and Akron's okay at times. And that's what the steam obviously came on the Zips, and they cruised from there. But, you're only good as your last wager, so we'll have another one today. But it is nice. You don't have to win every day when you have plus 248. So good job by you as well.
Yeah, look, like last week, you get two, maybe you throw in a third out of the 5 days, and we'll just we'll keep on rolling that over, Doug. Just keep on taking care of business with the daily double here on Betting Weekly Live. All right, we got a lot happening tonight. We got to start in the NBA, though. We got 11 games in the association on a Wednesday night. TV doubleheader, which we're going to get to as well. Why don't we start things off in Cleveland, where the Sixers and the Cavs get together. Back-to-back nights for the Sixers, of course, blew the game last night in Chicago against the Bulls. Not going to have Embiid tonight. They are catching, that's right, Doug, 10.5 in Cleveland against the Cavs at Bet Rivers, 235.5 the total.
This it's a really tough handicap because the Sixers absolutely blew that game, right? It's a pretty wild game. Getting outscored by 21 in the second half to lose by 2, 13 in the fourth quarter. And then you're handicapping their psyche, right? Amateur psychologist, you got the travel into Cleveland. I lean Cavaliers. Part of me wants to just take their Cavaliers team total over. But it's been a tough read. This entire card's a tough read, so I might be wishy-washy on a few games here. But it's just a big number, as you would say. So maybe I just not sold that this Sixers team is that great. They had a nice record to start the year. They've lost 2 of their last 3, but the teams they beat were the Wizards, Hornets, and then the Celtics and Magic, which are still trying to figure things out with new pieces to start the year. So I don't really know what to expect with this team. Cavs got some moving parts as well. No DeAndre Hunter today. So it's a stay away, man. The NBA is tough. And I know people who think that the NBA sides are harder to beat than NFL sides. And so when you get certain games, you just can't force it, even though you have a huge volume of games every day.
You certainly do. And let me ask you this about the Sixers, because the thing that kind of jumped out to me seeing those big points is, yes, Embiid's not playing, but Maxi's been their guy. And tonight,
Right.
Embiid's out of the way. Like, look, he's not there tonight, and Edgecombe's been good. Maxi's been good. So just having Maxi out there, Doug, kind of makes me think, like, can Maxi alone cover this 10.5 against Cleveland, even though Embiid's not going to be out there?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are enough pieces there for them to typically when Embiid's out, I mean, that's why the adjustment in the over-under, but the total flies over. Usually it's a really high-scoring game, and that's why we have 235.5. Maxi's a total stud, bona fide all-star, legit, maybe all-NBA third-team kind of guy, but the Cavs are pretty loaded themselves, and with the volume of possessions being where it is in today's NBA and the high three-pointers usage, shot percentage and all that, 10.5 can be covered in a blink. I mean, just look at the Clipper game yesterday with the Thunder. Clippers were up 1 at the break. They were up at the first quarter, first half. And then the Thunder just stepped on the gas, and it wasn't even like their main guys. It was just Isaiah Joe bombing threes, Jalen Williams threes. SGA then did the step back three. And all of a sudden it went from like a 1 point game to 8 point game, then to 25, just like that. And it's just one of those situations. So I'm always afraid to take some of these dogs that are kind of limping into the game, given what happened with the Bulls. Now, if they had won that game with the Bulls, I'd be all over the Cavs. And we saw that yesterday. That's why I was on the Bucks game in
Right.
Toronto. Bucks got the big win against the Pacers. Miles Turner's revenge spot, blah, blah, blah. They just didn't have the sort of that edge to go into Toronto. Toronto was a rocking chair winner. So I was hoping the Sixers would get the win and we could cruise with Cleveland. But maybe it's a similar outcome with the Sixers being sort of dejected.
First game of the national TV doubleheader, of course, ESPN tonight. We'll have the Timberwolves in the Garden, New York, against the Knicks. Of course, we know the deal. I believe last year, Doug, when the Timberwolves came to the Garden, I don't believe everyone was playing, right? All the big particulars in that trade from last year. I think either Cat was out, DiVincenzo was out. Everybody's going to be there tonight. But most importantly, Anthony Edwards going to be back for the T-Wolves tonight, it looks like. Now, I know Cat's got the sniffles or an illness, so we'll see what happens with him. He's been downgraded to questionable. But Knicks -3, 228 flat for tonight. Should be a good one at the Garden.
I thought this was too much to ask of the T-Wolves, but now it looks like Ant's going to return for the T-Wolves, right? Like there's strong optimism was the according to Shams. So he's supposed to play, and then we'll see about Cat. I don't know. I think the Knicks are better than this. I like that second unit. -3 feels cheap. I thought 4 would be the right number, but typically when you get 4 in a game where you wouldn't be shocked if the dog won outright, that's usually the side you should take. So maybe 3 is the right number. I like the Knicks here. I feel like they figured some stuff out. They beat the Bulls, which is very hard to do these days. I feel like the offense is clicking. The beginning of the year, remember the Karl Anthony Towns quote? He's like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do on offense. It was less structured than we saw with Tibbs under Mike Brown now. So I feel like they could be hitting the groove, but I feel like the coaching edge with Chris Finch is definitely in the T-Wolves' favor. And Ant's obviously a big factor here. So it's a lean to the Knicks.
Yeah, that was where I was first kind of leaning this morning too. Ant does kind of change things up a little bit. That he's going to be out there tonight for Minnesota, but Knicks at home is where I was kind of angling as well. Second game of the doubleheader, Spurs and the Lakers in Los Angeles. Of course, late night under the lights there in LA. Right now, -1 for the Lakers at Bet Rivers, 226.5 the total. This should be fun. We got the Lakers, we got Wembanyama, we got national TV. We love it, Doug.
When are we going to get the articles that it's in 3 years, the Lakers are planning to trade for Wemby? It's all these, like anytime there's a superstar, it's the Lakers this, Lakers that. In 7 years, the Lakers are going to have a package ready for Wembanyama. So this number's come down from 2.5. That's with Austin Reeves being officially ruled out with a growing injury, but obviously Luke is in. Still no LeBron, of course. I feel this is a coin flip game. I would lean Lakers. The Spurs are getting everyone's best shot, and we saw them finally come back to earth, finally get a loss. I just wonder if they're able to sustain it. I mean, Wemby has to play phenomenally, and we saw that because they lost, of all teams, their first loss came to the Suns in Phoenix, whereas they've beat some of the better teams like the Heat and even the Mavericks in a blowout. But I'll tell you, this Spurs team is really legit, and they're going to only get better as everyone gets healthy, like De'Aaron Fox and whatnot. But Lakers are extremely well coached. I was actually thinking JJ Redick might be a coach of the year kind of candidate, just moving all these pieces and getting like great performances from certain guys. Now it's only been a couple weeks. In theory, Lakers are going to be full strength throughout the year, but he certainly knows what he's doing. I liked the other night that he did not start DeAndre Ayton in the second half because he didn't like what he was seeing. He went with Jackson Hayes. I just like coaches who do that, right? I was laughing about UMass earlier, but they were down 24 in the second half. Some defensive player tipped the ball out of bounds playing coverage, a DB did, and he was taunting the sideline of Akron. And then the UMass coach not only pulled him out of the game, but sent him to the locker room. He's like, that's just, we're not going to have that. Like the bar's got to be set higher. So I always appreciate coaches that, I'm not going to call it thinking outside the box, but are willing to adjust on the fly, whatever it may be, instead of just getting stuck in your rotations like Tyronn Lue did with the Clippers. 17-0 run yesterday with the Thunder. And God forbid he call a timeout and put James Harden back in the game. But, we're on a minutes watch, and this is the substitution patterns. I get it in the NBA, you want to play the long game, but kind of a roundabout, going different directions here. But I do think the Spurs are absolutely legit. I'm afraid to bet against them, kind of like I did during Steph Curry's prime, which I guess is still going on now. It's just scary. It's not a pleasant experience when Wemby can just dominate and have quadruple doubles if he wants. It's Lakers, though. I think they're just that much more versatile, but the Spurs muck it up on D, and they're so legit. I don't think there's value here betting LA.
You know that I like to look at player props in these games, Doug. I always like, some of the bigger games. I always like to take a gander at them. And I know that Luka so far I think he's averaging 42 or 43 points a game. I know he hasn't played every game, but he's up there in the 40s. I mean, his number's 35.5 tonight. It's just, you just say it out loud, Doug, and you're like, man, 35.5. I know he's been getting 40 consistently, but that's a big number it's been zoomed up to here with all the shots he's been taking.
No, and obviously with Austin Reeves out, but he just fills up the stat sheet, and obviously lean Luka, right? He's leaned down. He's so much more effective. Yeah. Now, I did get a chuckle the first night. He played both ways, was excellent defensively, and everyone's like, oh, what is this new Luka? And then he actually hurt his groin doing it. He did play the next game, but then missed the next week. So go back to Luka playing no D. I think he goes over this total, but I will say the Spurs defense is absolutely legit. And one thing that Wemby does, obviously he's going to lead the league in blocks by a large margin, but it's the altered shot. So when perimeter players get to the paint, they just don't know what to do when they have this guy around them. And then when bigs do like jump hooks and baby hooks, their muscle memory is so used to shooting a certain arc. But then Wemby blocks those, so he forces shots higher from a big guy, and it throws everything off. So there's a chance Luka just is all about threes. Frankly, it might be a sharp angle to bet Luka three-pointers over. And I'm going to go back and track all these teams that they face. Some of these guys may just not want to even drive and get to the paint. There may just be even more three-point attempts when facing the Spurs.
No doubt. Bet Rivers tonight does have special for you in this game. First half fireworks. Wembanyama and Luka Doncic to each score 15 plus points in the first half of this game. Spurs versus Lakers boosted up to plus 125. Both players to score 15 plus. I mean, we kind of just said it. These are the guys, Doug, that are eating. Wembanyama and Luka. Those are the guys that are doing it. So plus 125 for both of them to get 15 plus at Bet Rivers tonight for the special. All right, plenty of other games this evening. Yeah, you like that, Doug? 15 plus in the first half? Luka, I don't think it's a problem at all. I think Luka will have 15 in the first half. Wemby, sometimes it's like spurts with Wemby, right? Like you turn around, some nights he's got like 8 starting the second half, and then you look over, he's got 27. Hey, where did that happen? Like it seems like the Wembanyama points come in just a fast, furious bunches.
I would agree with that assessment. It's just, I think this is one of those things where it can happen, but like, will it happen? Now, obviously you're getting plus 125, so that's different. I'd be inclined to take it, but I don't know if it's my favorite play kind of thing.
Other games this evening in the NBA. We got a lot of them. Let's go next to the Celtics and the Wizards in Boston. Minus 12.5 for the Celtics right now. 232.5 is the total.
Celtics are good off a loss. That's sort of my assessment of this team. And they're off back-to-back losses here. So I guess that's a bad comment because they started the year with 3 losses and they lost back-to-back. But I think you're going to get an effort here. With the Jazz in their last game, they up 4 after 1 and up 10 at the break. So they started off strong. And so I'd be inclined to maybe play Celtics first half here. I just think the Wizards are that bad and they're going to get outclassed here. They're getting better eventually, but this does have blowout written all over it. They're 1-6 on the season. I believe they've only covered 1 game. There's just not a lot to like with this Washington team. Yeah, they have some adults in the room. with Middleton and whatnot. But for the most part, this team is tanking, right, and disjointed. I I don't like they've covered one game this year, so I think the spot Celtics off back-to-back losses, they're going to get right like they did against Utah, but I think they're going to hold on. I don't think the Wizards have the firepower to come back, so I kind of like the Celtics here. First half game, you name it.
Celtics at home, like you say, off a loss, could be the spot to go. The Pelicans, they're off the schneid. They got themselves their first win of the season last night against the Hornets, so they have got one in the win column. Now they got to play a back-to-back in Dallas against the Mavs. Mavs -8, 227 flat.
All right, so this is my favorite play of the day. We're keeping an eye on Jordan Poole. He's questionable, but this is a sketchy situation by the Pelicans. The Mavs absolutely need this game. I was going to lay it here. The problem is I just don't trust Dallas to score that much and cover this number. They're just not a team that's going to do that, but they have to win this game, right? They've lost back-to-back. The Pelicans come in. They're not good. Pelicans just got a nice win, their first win of the year. So I think they're going to go back to stinking. That's, my, advanced analysis here. But the Pelicans have issues. There's no Zion for this game, no Messi, who's their starting center. They've only covered 2 games to begin with. And I just think this is an absolute beatdown. The problem is I don't know what I'm getting with this Dallas offense. I don't think Cooper Flagg is the right move as the point guard and sort of facilitator. So I'm just going to bet against this New Orleans defense. I just think this New Orleans offense. Again, Poole questionable. If he's out, then it's like a code red. I don't think they get over 100 points. But no Zion, no Messi. I think Murphy will get his points. Herb Jones will get some. Derek Queen had a nice game off the bench. But the Mavs defense is quality, okay? And their pace isn't that high. So you're looking at a New Orleans offense that's bottom 5 in the NBA in terms of offensive efficiency. Under 109.5 is a good play in my eyes.
I like it. And it's kind of a similar thinking to this game that I'm going to go to next that I like, Doug. And that's, you got the Jazz coming off a win. They were bad a couple times before that, getting blown out. Then they win a game in Boston. Tonight they go to Detroit against the Pistons. Pistons are laying 9.5 at home. They're coming home after a little bit of a trip. 233 flats the total. Feel like the Jazz kind of go back. I know you love the Jazz. This is your season-long team here. But
Jazz, that's right.
After a win in Boston, maybe a little step back, and the Pistons at home put a little number on them here, laying 9.5.
Yeah, that's the only side I would play. I was considering a Pistons team total because Walker Kessler, their monster of a center and big block guy, is out for the year with a shoulder injury. So that's a big thing. Yusuf Nurkic, you might remember him from the Blazers and had a cup of coffee with the Hornets. He's going to start in his place. I believe in Will Hardy. He'll move some things around, but I think the Pistons are going to light it up. This Jazz team doesn't play a whole lot of defense to begin with, and Kessler was a nice anchor to that front line. Nurkic is not a defensive player at all. So I think the offense will be clicking. I think fading this Jazz team first half might be like sort of the way to go, but in general, I think Utah is going to get rolled. It's just that second unit's pretty respectable. So I think Pistons are a good team. I love Cade Cunningham. I like their team. I like the coach, like everything I like about them. It's a big number. So I was trying to find a better angle, but I think this Kessler news is certainly bad for the Jazz. I wonder if they're going to, fall flat, so to speak.
Big loss for them. They have problems as it is, Doug, and to lose a guy who could do all of that. There you go. Joining the conversation, of course, as always here on Betting Weekly Live. I like Laurie for 25 points. Hey, someone's got to score on the Jazz, Doug, right? Laurie Marketed, sure enough, is the guy.
And he's a bona fide all-star. He's a legit guy. He's been great this year. He can stretch defense. He can do a little bit of everything. And Detroit's its defense isn't really their calling card. This isn't the bad boy Pistons. So I think Markkanen can go off and they still lose by 15.
Another game that caught my eye, Warriors and Kings tonight. Now, I know the deal. Curry's not playing for the Warriors this evening. I guess we don't have the official on Butler yet if he's going to be in there. I know the Kings aren't going to have Sabonis and Levine now. Kings -2. It was -4 a couple hours ago at Bet Rivers. 224.5 the total. this is one of those games, Doug, where sometimes I know the star player is out. Now you kind of have it on both sides, so it equals out a little bit. But even though Curry's not there, I trust in these guys on the Warriors against a bad Kings team that I think that they can not just cover the number, which is now just 2, so it's pretty small, but I think they can win this game even without Curry tonight in Sacramento.
This Warriors team is sort of the team you want to bet when there are low expectations and then fade when there are high expectations. I liked them last night. Remember one of my plays because they were off back-to-back losses. It was a good bet on spot coming home. I would agree. This is the only side that, like, Kerr loves these types of situations just because he sort of has those young guns. Kuminga's going to have the ball more. Butler probably won't play, but I wouldn't be shocked if he does. But in general, Draymond's out there barking. I think they like to make life miserable for the Kings, and this Sacramento team obviously is pretty much a nightly fade, so you got to be careful with them.
It's like Kuminga scores like 20 to 25 tonight. Podziemski has like 4 threes or 5 threes.
Right,
like it's just one of those nights where all the other guys on the Warriors get to shine a little bit because Curry and potentially Butler aren't out there, and Kerr pushes the right buttons in those games. And you have a team on the other side, which, as you know, they stink, the Kings. They're not that good to begin with. So good spot there. Few others. This caught my eye. So now we know the Nets are the last team in the pool without a win. They are 0-7 going to Indiana. Their next few games, Doug, they're not winning. They have got games against teams that they don't have any shot, I think, against, which is, the Pistons, the Knicks, Raptors, Orlando. Not a lot of wins in sight for Brooklyn. Indiana's not that great. I know they're laying 7 at home here tonight. Kind of like the Nets with the number here, with what could be one of their few chances to win a game here for a little while.
I know. I wanted to, I've been fading whoever the Nets are playing in the first quarter, right? A team total inside, and they hit a 3 at the gun yesterday. Otherwise, they would not have covered. I just can't do it with the Pacers. Their offense is so limited. Now, Siakam is playing, but no Mathurin, no Nebhard, no Quentin Jackson even. It's a lot of Ben Shepherd and Nesmith, but Isaiah Jackson starting at center. Not even Furphy here, the big dunk meister. I can't lay 7 with the Pacers, but you're right. The Nets are going to make these guys look like all-stars on defense. So it's tempting. The Nets are legitimately that bad, but I also understand the temptation to take them because, like you said, after this game, not a lot of wins around the corner. So I think Brooklyn's going to be some seriously, they're going to, they might win 14 games kind of thing, even though the pieces are sort of there. They're just not translating to wins. Their adjusted win total at Bet Rivers is 16.5. Okay. You don't like it? You don't like the over? It's a little juice to the under.
I took the 20.5 before the season, thinking that Fernandez is such a good coach that he'd be able to get, because last year, Doug, especially early in the year, they showed some heart. They showed that, they won a couple games they shouldn't have won. They were in games. I feel like watching them through the first 6 or 7 games here this season, I haven't seen the same thing. And I know the roster isn't as good, so that partially has to be put into it. But I've got no faith that they're getting me to 20 at this point. Zero faith that they're going to get me there, Doug. I've already thrown
I think we should hold our powder here. I don't think we should bet this 16.5 here. Okay. But if they lose or win, I think that's when we pounce, because after that, like you said, Detroit, Knicks, Raptors, Magic, maybe the Wizards, but that's on the road. Yeah. Celtics. I mean, there's not a lot of wins on that schedule. And I will say they've played a bunch of good teams. Like maybe they're 0-7 against 6 playoff teams. Charlotte they lost to, but other than that, like Cavs, Spurs, Rockets, Sixers, T-Wolves, nothing to sneeze at, but they're also getting rolled. Yeah. That's the other thing that's kind of enjoyable to watch and kind of funny. I mean, they're 2-5 ATS.
They just haven't shown the same heart.
I think with this thing, you got to look at it from a live betting perspective. Is 7 the best number you're going to get for the Nets? Like, I think they're going to be down in the first half. We're going to get 8.5, 10.5 for the game. Typically, they've been horrible starters. the first quarter, first half. I mean, they were up 12-0 to the Hawks last week and still didn't cover the first quarter line.
Last one, and then I'm going to get to the pucks. OKC back-to-back in Portland against the Blazers. We've had some movement here. Thunder now -3.5. 232. Actually, I got it up to 232 flat now at Bet Rivers at the second I'm looking at it. Jalen Williams out, Chet Holmgren out, Lou Dort out. The laundry list of guys that aren't going to play for the Thunder tonight here. Now, to be, Portland the other night, we thought, banged up Laker team coming in. Portland should take care of business. But I don't trust Portland either, Doug, in this spot.
Yeah, I do. And I believe the Bet Rivers app just went to 4. I think if you can get, excuse me, God, live TV. If you can get 4 or better, I think it's worth a play. Thunder are not hell-bent on like beating the Warriors' best ever record to start a season or the 73 wins. I think they're going to play it by ear. They're about rest. They had a nice comeback in LA. SGA loves beating the Clippers because they were the ones who drafted and traded him. And he certainly ratcheted up second half, but he did go under his 31.5 points prop. He landed 31 or 30. I think the Blazers, to your point, Carver, they weren't professionally mature enough to go beat a team that's missing its 3 best players. Like they're not. It's really dangerous to face teams that are missing guys. Blazers aren't that team, but now the Blazers are the ones that are sort of the underdog role, although OKC's missing some players. I just think Blazers +4 is the right play from a math perspective. And we need to remind ourselves of this. Odds makers hate it when players are out. They don't know the true power rating of OKC with missing all these guys. Both teams' full strength is an odds maker's dream. They know the true power rating. It's a larger sample size from the season. They know what number to make. I know a sharp guy. We texted this morning. He took 5. I took 5. I was following him. Of course, he goes, look, Thunder back-to-back. They're going to rest some guys. They don't really care about this record. So we knew Lou Dort would be hurt because he got hurt on a high pick and roll. He showed, and he hurt his shoulder-ish area. It's like a trap, I guess. So I knew Lou Dort would be out, but then you just suspect now it's Chet and Caruso. Okay. There's not a ton of firepower. At some point, SGA and the Blazers play really good defense. And I think the dangled carrot is giving OKC its first loss. This Blazers team steamrolled the Warriors after the Warriors beat the Nuggets in that big comeback on a Thursday. They beat them on a Friday. I think the Blazers are going to be ready, kind of blood circling the water situation. I think Blazers +4 is a smart play.
There you go. NBA for tonight. Also, don't forget Bet Rivers, NBA Wednesday primetime, second chance SGP. Log into your Bet Rivers app or betrivers.com account each Wednesday to receive a second chance same game parlay token to use on either of the primetime NBA games that day. If your wager doesn't hit, see the Bet Rivers app or website for full details. So, of course, that's Knicks Timberwolves, Lakers Spurs tonight. NBA Wednesday primetime, second chance SGP. We got pucks tonight as well, Doug. 5 games in the NHL. Got one national TV game, which is the Blues at the Capitals. Now, I do have something here, a little fun bet in this one, Doug. Now, both teams have been brutal lately. The Blues have lost 7 of their last 8. The Caps have lost 4 in a row. I don't want to go anywhere really near either of these teams. But Ovi's been chasing this 900 now for the last 4 games. He's back at home. It's a national televised game on TNT. Ovi to score tonight, +128 is where, and the Amish electrician had the puck parlay last night, Doug, which I put out on the Bet Rivers app, which was a winner, the puck parlay, the 3-team money liner with the Hurricanes, Vegas, and the Stars, who had a big comeback. So nice job by the Amish electrician getting in on that. Ovi to score tonight, Doug. Let's go.
Amish electrician. There's got to be a sort of an oxymoron in there. I like it. I guess my question to you is like, is this a thing? Like when he was chasing Gretzky's number and all that, were they feeding him more? Was it more likely? Does the TV component? I mean, if you're going to get skewed usage and skewed opportunities, which is all you want in these type of situations, then I'm all for it. The Stars certainly align, like you said, with the TV component to things.
Well, the hard part for the Capitals is in terms of feeding them is that they haven't been winning games. So a lot of times, the only time you can really feed someone is 2 chances, on the power play or with the goalie pulled at the end of the game for the empty netter. Caps haven't been winning. So that's why they haven't had an opportunity these last 4 games to get the other team's goalie pulled and have a shot at that. He's always out there firing away on the power play. So he's had his opportunities there. I just like a little, Ovi always has, Doug, I guess you could say, a little theater for the dramatic. At home, national TV. This is not something I would keep chasing it every game until he gets it. It just seems like the kind of spot where Ovi's going to get the 900 tonight, especially after not getting it for 4 games. So that's a little fun one I'm going to do in the NHL. The game I do like is this Utah-Toronto game, which is just after 7 o'clock East. Second night of a back-to-back for Utah. This is their first back-to-back of the season. They played Buffalo last night. Yes, low-scoring game, 2-1 overtime win for them. We know the deal with the Leafs. It has been fast and loose. 9 of their 10 games to the over. The Mammoth have played plenty of over games. I know last night was a dead under for them, but when they've played some higher-scoring teams, such as the Oilers, such as Tampa, etc., they've gotten the 6+ goals in all of those. So I like the way Toronto's just wide open, Doug, every night. You saw the other night we had them. They were down 3-0 to the Penguins, rallied to win 4-3. Game's never over for them. Let's go up, and away, 6.5 with Utah and Toronto tonight.
Can't get in your way. You've been red hot with these hockey plays, the ones that you've sort of separated as among your favorites. So I'm all for tailing you in that regard. You're seeing the puck well, as I like to say.
Seeing the puck well early in the season. And one other one that catches my eye tonight. The Flames are horrible, Doug. They've been brutal to start the year. They're 3-9-2. They've been brutal on home ice. Now, I know the Blue Jackets aren't exactly one of the best teams in the league, but still, Flames minus $1.17, that big of a home favorite tonight against Columbus? That don't smell right to me, Doug. Give me Calgary at home. The bad Calgary team, minus 117 against Columbus. I'll take the Flames tonight.
Hey, look, you've got a good read of things. I don't want to get in your way. I do like peppering you with follow-up questions, things like that. But my palette of hockey teams is like 10 to 15 right now. So you're picking teams that I'm not too versed in.
Well, I know one thing you like, and I know they're not at home tonight, but I know you love the late night San Jose Shark overs too. And they are in Seattle against the Kraken this evening. And it's a flat 6. We know that the Sharks, they're good with playing these high-scoring games as well. So I wouldn't have any problem, Doug, if you wanted to go fire away on the Kraken and the Sharks tonight, late night, for some fun.
No, maybe. I don't like to encourage bailout games, but maybe we'll have to do that at some point if the night goes a certain way. But fortunately, we're already involved. And like I said, I'm involved in the Blazers +5. I will say Blazers alt line, like -4.5, things like that. If they lose, I think they lose in flying colors. Does OKC. So that could be one way to play that.
Got a lot of late night bailout options, Doug, this evening. Hockey and in hoops, we can go to it. Speaking of the hockey, one last thing with that Toronto-Utah game. Do not forget, immediately following Leafs and Mammoth tonight, live post-game coverage on the Toronto Sports Rush channel, which is part of the Bet Rivers Network. Kyle Andrew and Pierre Maguire, they will have you going later tonight after Leafs Mammoth, hopefully after a game that has a lot of goals, preferably over 6.5 of them there with Toronto and Utah. So check out Kyle and Pierre after the game on Toronto Sports Rush. Betting Weekly live here on a Wednesday. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian. We have Maction rolling tonight as well. We are not done. We have got college football for everybody as Maction is here with us. Of course, Akron last night. Great job there. The Miami of Ohio game was fun. It didn't get over, but it was a fun game. Tonight, Doug, Kent State and Ball State. We'll start there. It's just after 7 o'clock East. They're on the U. Ball State now -3 at Bet Rivers, 48 the total.
I really liked Akron last night. I don't have a good read on this Maction tonight. Penn State's, I think, a bet-on team, but they just can be just like totally baffling at times, which I guess is like what's required to play in this conference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had them against UMass. That was on a Saturday, and they rolled them. Then they go to Toledo, and I have Toledo plus 25.5 or so, and they're up 10-0. I'm like, hey, this is a sharp bet. And then the Kent State outscores the rest of the way, 45-0. So, okay. And then they had the Bowling Green game where they just a strange game in and of itself with Bowling Green's up 14-3, and then there was a pick six. So I just don't know what I'm getting with Kent. And it's not like Miami of Ohio's any prize either. I mean, they've played with their food a little bit. I will say the Cardinals are sorry, Ball State. I will say Cardinals are probably more reliable in this regard, but I mean, I don't know, man. They just lost to Northern Illinois. I would say Ball State's a little more reliable, but Kent State's ceiling is a lot higher. That's why I don't want to bet against them here.
I think the only thing that I would like in this game, and I'd only like it because of the same reason as last night with Ohio and Miami of Ohio, is I just want the crazy Maction game, Doug. I just want one of these games in Maction to go pinball machine all over the place. Now, neither of these offenses are that great, but both of their defenses are so bad that maybe that can translate into some wild and crazy game. That's my only thinking if I was going to lean to the over, Doug, is just because of that. Is both defenses are just atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, if you want an under, you don't want 3 and outs. You want a couple first downs and a punt. So bad offenses actually can lead itself to unders. Some overs, because you'll get short fields and obviously turnovers and blah, blah, blah. So I can certainly get behind that logic.
The other game will be Northern Illinois, the Huskies, at the Glass Bowl against Toledo. 15 now here at Bet Rivers with a flat 42. And I did see, Doug, that there will be maybe a touch of weather tonight at the Glass Bowl with some high winds coming into play. That's why you got such a low total and a high spread.
NIU's coming off its first win against a FBS opponent, and we have a much bigger game for the Rockets on deck. So that would be my one concern for laying this kind of lumber. But Toledo, I thought about this because they just played Washington State and got kind of beat up in that game. I just don't want to get involved here. I think they cover. Like I said, they manhandled Kent State. It's just a weird team right now. I think it's the right side. I agree with the line move, but I'm going to pass here. Like I said, I didn't like this Maction card.
It's not the best Maction card. I will agree with you on that. It is not the strongest one, but hopefully we can have ourselves some fun games tonight. I do like all these high wind games. Those are always fun at the Glass Bowl with Toledo and Northern Illinois. One other thing in college, and of course tomorrow, Doug, we'll go through some of the games. I did want to bring this up with you. Last night was the first college football playoff rankings were released by the all the suits and the big committee over there that get together and decide where everybody should be. Was there anything that stuck out to you? I'm kind of a guy, Doug, that I don't get too wrapped up in these rankings because the only one that matters is the last one. And it's so hard to try to, you want to try to pick some things out that you think you can take with you over the next few weeks. But at the end of the day, it's not going to look anything like it looked last night in terms of the matchups.
I mean, I'm calling them up on my computer for the first time. I didn't even look at them last night or this morning because, to your point, I don't really care. Now, there are some kernels here and there. You can notice who they have ahead of who, which can lend itself to projections and then maybe some angles for some futures betting. But it's not quite as simple as that. They go and then they do the rankings and then blah, blah, blah. And then they redo it over and somebody else can be a little louder in the room and then use another data point. So let's say, for example, this one caught people's attention, right? Notre Dame ranked 10th, Miami ranked 18th. People said, why isn't the head-to-head matter? Well, it's like, well, there's other losses matter more as well. And the home field of Miami, week 1, 3-point margin. But I could see they each win next week. And then the next weekend, Miami's ranked ahead of Notre Dame. And people are like, what the heck? Like they both, but they'll be like, well, Miami beat Notre Dame head to head. Well, why didn't you have them last week? We don't talk about last week. So you can't really connect dots or get any kernels of information that could give you some sort of advantage if you play out the bracket a certain way. One thing I'm noticing is Iowa. They're plus 1,000 right now at Bet Rivers to make the playoff. Okay, they host Oregon this weekend. They're 6.5-point dogs, about plus 175 on the money line. They also go to USC, and then they have two sort of weak opponents after that. I think that's a play. That's high end of the market. I think the Hawkeyes are facing two teams that we're not sure how good they are, right? We don't really know how good Oregon is, or even USC for that matter. And I think the Hawkeyes are playing better now than they've ever been. So I think that's worth a sprinkle, but it has nothing to do with the rankings, so to speak. But it's something that caught my eye. I think Iowa could be like a lot. Their offense does look a little better, and it's not 3 yards or 3 inches in a cloud of dust like it was a couple of years ago, and a punt city. I think this Hawkeyes team, like they're really good at mauling bad teams, but I think they can hang with a team like Oregon now. I think they've graduated to that step.
Yeah, they win that game, and like you say, that number slashed in it at least in half, right, Doug? Figure at least to 5. They would
maybe
go
more. I mean, the roll.
Maybe even.
I don't know. It depends what kind of dog they are at USC, because the power rating for Iowa is going to go up if they beat Oregon. So then they're going to be like 3.5-point dogs at USC, and then it's like a couple doormats of the Big Ten after that. So, and then they're not going to play the Big Ten title game, right?
Right.
And so Big Ten will get some respect from the committee. Iowa's only 2 losses, one to Indiana in a very close game, and then at Iowa State in a very close game. So what can you – and then if you have wins against everyone else, including Oregon and USC, there's no way the Hawkeyes are kept out of the playoffs. So if it's going to really come down to just the money line of the USC game, so I think it's going to be like 2-1, 3-1.
It does kind of feel like there's some wiggle room here for a 4th Big Ten team. Now, if Oregon loses to Iowa, they're going to take a step back too, you got to remember. But really, it's Ohio State and Indiana right now. They have Oregon as minus 400 to make the playoff, but that will change drastically.
I wouldn't lay that.
I sure wouldn't either, because as you said, there's a real scenario where they can lose at Iowa this week, and suddenly things are going to look a lot different. I
wouldn't put USC winning at Autzen Stadium past them. I know Oregon. Look, Oregon's only loss is to Indiana, so that says something. But what's their best win? Right. At Penn State, sure, and obviously that was a much better Nittany Lions team than we saw the rest of the year. So that's a solid win. But still, there's a world where Oregon gets kept out. I would not lay the $4.
Nope. They have 9 teams at minus money right now at Bet Rivers to make the playoff. 9 teams. And I don't think
there is a world where both Oregon and Iowa get in. Iowa wins this weekend, and then Oregon, and then they both win out. So then they'll each have 2 losses. I think you can make a case for certainly 4 Big Ten teams.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking that the Big Ten is going to, they're going to get respect here potentially. And depending on who eats who in the other conferences, I don't think it's a given that the Big 12 is going to get 2 teams. That's not a given at all whatsoever, even though they got Texas Tech and BYU. Remember, they're playing each other this week. One of them's going to lose this week, Texas Tech and BYU. So one of them is going to take a little bit of a tumble. All right, college football there for you. Of course, if you like what you hear on our show, you got to sign up for the Betting Weekly newsletter, get exclusive tips, and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. Make sure you also subscribe Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube as well. All there for you. Make sure you get involved. All right, college basketball. Not as heavy a night, I guess you could say, Doug, as the last couple of nights. Duke did take care of business against Texas last night in Charlotte. There was a couple of other interesting games. We brought up that Oregon-Hawaii game, which was a 1-point game down to the end, and Oregon needed to make a bucket to win it. Tonight, not as many ranked teams in action. Creighton's playing. Indiana's playing. We've got there's one other late night game that caught my eye. Mississippi State's laying a big number against North Alabama, but we also have Southern and Marquette on the board too, Doug. We got a lot of big spreads again tonight in college hoops.
I mean, look, it's hard to be an expert in every sport, right? So I'm obviously solid in college hoops, but I've talked to some people who really sort of stretch me and my rotation, my web of people, right? This number over under wise has steamed up a little bit, like 3 points, and I just think it's still way too low. Southern wants to play with a really high pace. They bring back a lot of guys. They're a pretty good team, and they just lost 109-77 against Arkansas. Now we know obviously everything going on with Calipari and everything, but still, man, that's 186 points. And Southern's not bad. Like they're going to score against Marquette. They're just going to give up a million. And 155 is just too low. So I really like this play.
There you go. 155 for Southern and Marquette tonight. I guess the one game that kind of, again, Doug, I always look for the one game on the card early in the season that's like, that line doesn't seem right. Tarleton State's not that bad. They're getting 15.5 at LSU. That's kind of the one. Maybe it's because, Doug, it's the only game on the board, it feels like, where there's kind of a heavier power conference team that's not laying 20-plus points. So maybe that's why it catches my eye a little bit. But 15.5 for LSU and Tarleton State kind of jumped out at me a little bit. It's hard, like you say, these early season college basketball.
Well, and what I said yesterday, it's tempting, right? There's a volume of games. You know that the numbers are soft, blah, blah, blah. But you're really not competing against odds makers. You're competing against expert college basketball bettors because they're going to move the market to where it is. So if you're super locked into college basketball, fine, great, fire away. But if you're thinking you're just catching one odds maker asleep at the wheel because he's got all these other sports to pay attention to, think again. You're competing against other bettors and all the sharp guys. So just make sure you really have a strong conviction. Like yesterday, I did not, but today that's my one play I do have conviction with.
Purdue didn't cover that 33.5 either against Evansville. I think they just missed Purdue. They won 82-51. They won by 31, and the line was around 33.5. The next big game on the college basketball schedule is Friday night, Kansas and North Carolina in Chapel Hill. That is the next kind of marquee game here in the opening week of college basketball. All right. It's Wednesday, Doug. And what does that mean? I got to give you some golf, too, before we do the best bets. I mean, we've teeing off in the morning in Mexico, Worldwide Technology Championship. We've even got a great DP World Tour event in Abu Dhabi, the championship out there. So I've got to give you a little bit of golf. Rico Hoey owes me, Doug, from a couple weeks ago. He finished second, and we were on him. So he's playing good golf right now, 22-1 for Rico Hoey in Mexico. Nick Taylor in this field should not be 40-1. Nick Taylor's a good player. He should not be 40-1 in the kind of field that they have down there. So I'm going to take a shot with my man, Nick. He's won me a lot of money in the past. And same thing with Eric Cole. 80-1 for him here in Mexico. I think he's a little bit better than a lot of the guys that are going to be out there. So I'm just kind of in these fall events, Doug, I just try to find a couple of guys that the number just doesn't seem right for the type of field that it is. So that's why I fell on Taylor and Cole, and Hoey's been hot. So I'm going to stay with him.
I love golf betting. It really is awesome. Where in the world can you get like 30-1, 50-1, 60-1 and win it in 4 days, right?
Yep.
And have a legitimate chance to win. I mean, if you compare what some of those prices that you ripped off are to, like, let's call it Super Bowl futures. I mean, what's more likely, right? Like you're talking like a 50-1 team, like the Jaguars are 60-1. So what's more likely? One of those guys wins this weekend, like you said, a reduced field, or the Jaguars win the Super Bowl. I just think like golf, and you get it in 4 days. You got action on every shot too. The return, the ROI of fun you get where you're sweating out every shot because you're rooting against every other golfer and you're rooting for your guy. So I'm all about golf tournaments.
And I'm so nuts, Doug, that I also need to get involved in the DP World Tour in Abu Dhabi because that's actually a really good field this week. You've got pretty much all the European Ryder Cup guys, or at least a good chunk of them are playing. Rory's playing, Fleetwood's playing, Tyrrell Hatton's playing, Bobby Mack, Ludwig Aubert, Fitzpatrick. So there's a really good field at this DP World Tour Abu Dhabi Championship. I like Marco Penge at 25-1. This guy's played great golf this year. Mostly, of course, not when he has all the heavies in the field, but he's still 25-1, even with guys like Rory and Fleetwood, etc. there. That's how good Marco Penge has been this year. I like him here at 25, and I like Patrick Reed at 33-1. He's won at this place before, finished second to Rory a couple years ago, and they had the thing with the ball and on the tree, and everybody got mad at him. No one likes Patrick Reed. I understand that, but I like rooting for Reed in these spots. 33-1 for Patrick Reed.
Look, like you said, you're on an island there with Patrick Reed.
I am.
I don't. Well, look, there could be value there because it's all about risk management from the odds maker standpoint. There's not a lot of handle on Patrick Reed every tournament, so you're going to get some line value in theory.
I play him every year at the Masters. Every year I get Patrick Reed because he's a good player. Just everybody hates him, and everybody doesn't like him. So that's why he sometimes gets some pretty good numbers on Patrick Reed going forward. So a little golf this week, Doug. I'm excited. I love when golf is on the card for us. Let's do best bets. Of course, we hit the daily double last night. We're going to try to make it 2 in a row this evening on Betting Weekly Live. I am going to keep riding the train here, Doug. I think on a light night, we got no football, no NFL tonight. Nothing really caught my eye in terms of the basketball. Going back to the pucks, Toronto and Utah over 6.5, up and away in Toronto.
I was torn for the daily double. I like both the Pelicans under team total 109.5, and then also the over in that college basketball game with Southern and Marquette. I'll officially make Southern Marquette over 155 as my best bet. Couldn't tell you one player, the name of a player involved in this game, but that's okay. It's all about numbers, and especially this early in the college basketball season. So that's my play for the night, because NBA, sure, I can tell you everything about those two teams involved. That's one of my specialties, but it's still the NBA. There's no guarantee. The market's tighter. But I do like this over for the reasons I mentioned earlier.
I did have to just go and check, Doug, that I can watch that tonight because as you know, I religiously play the daily double every day for me and you. So I've been riding it just along with everybody else should be. So I got to make sure that I can jump to that in the second half and sweat it out a little bit. And yes, it is streaming on ESPN Plus, the Southern Marquette game tonight. So the daily double on betting. There is Utah, Toronto over 6.5 in the hockey with Southern Marquette over 155 plus 269 tonight, Doug, for the daily double. Let's go.
Let's roll over.
Roll it over, baby, and keep us going after last night's win. Doug, tremendous job, as always. Great job by the crew. We will be back here tomorrow. Raiders-Broncos opens up Week 10 in the NFL for Thursday Night Football. We have some other college football games. In fact, one of those games tomorrow night, Doug, is a pretty good, I thought, college football game. I might be thinking of Friday, though, too. For it. UTSA and Southern and USF tomorrow night. And then you've got
a good game.
Tulane Memphis is Friday night. Is that game. That's a big game, Tulane and Memphis. Northwestern USC as well. So we got college football tomorrow night. We've got Raiders Broncos. We'll have lots of hockey, actually one basketball game. I did see that. Only one NBA game on Thursday night. But we will have you covered right here on Betting Weekly Live, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. Pacific. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network, Betting Weekly Live. We will see you back here tomorrow. Have a great night.